about time for a complete hamstring flexibility guide for people that want calisthenics skills. Much overdue. Gonna go up on YouTube, long form, uncut. I'm trying my best to not place many cuts and do this in one go and not mess up much. What do you need this for? Anything in calisthenics that requires hip flexion with straight legs, L-sits, V-sits, straight arm presses to handstand, all of these kind of skills. So if you're somebody that has these skills in mind, wants to learn them, or in general also wants to reverse all the effects of our modern life where we sit so much, where our hamstrings shorten up a lot, then this video is for you. What do the hamstrings do, first of all? They are muscles, multiple muscles, that go over multiple different joints. They attach your pelvis, but also the hip joint and the knee joint. So, bending at the hips, bending at the pelvis, like this, at the pelvis, and straightening the knees, that's how you lengthen them. You can stretch them in multiple ways. You can either let go of the pelvis and reach down as far as you can, and then the most important way of measuring it is going deeper and deeper and deeper. The good thing about this is the parameters stay pretty much the same always, right? You can't cheat much. You just let go of the hips completely, of the pelvis completely, and the depth is your parameter. This is not perfectly stretching only the hamstring, but it's very, very close to the skill of calisthenics, the L-sit, because here you're also letting go of your pelvis, you're rounding at the back, so it's not a big deal. But even if not as specific, more isolated would be to keep an anterior pelvic tilt and reach down from there, trying to keep that as much as you can. Not going to be the topic for today. Progressions. You want to work your way down. You may be currently, a lot of people that I have in my coaching even start like that, older people, for example, or people that played soccer in the past. They start like this, right? Even letting go of everything, they can barely get past their shins, can't touch the floor. So that's the first thing that we want to do. If you want an L-sit and a V-sit, we should at least work up to knuckles to floor. If we want to start with this, we got to make things measurable. If you already start with fingers to floor, that's good because that's already measurable. We can start with that and build up. But if you are hanging somewhere in the air, then if we take that as a progression, one workout you're going to be here, one workout you're going to be here, and one here, not very measurable. So we want to find an object that you can actually touch. Let's say this is your distance. You can touch this, and it's very difficult. Now we have a distance that we can work with. We need an intensity and a volume that we can work with. What I like to use to progress in flexibility, no matter if you can already touch the floor or not, is something I call the 30-second method. Fancy word, but all it just means is it gives you a parameter that you can work with and scale up. You've got 30 seconds that you're gonna do the stretch in, and you can either start with the hardest or end with the hardest. You can modify it a little bit, but what you want is 30 seconds of staying in the stretch. Let's say you can touch this object, but it's the perfect size that it's so difficult for you to touch it that you can stay here and withstand the pain for 20 seconds. The remaining 10 seconds you would have to go up. Now, 30 seconds means stay in the remaining 10 seconds like this. As you get more flexible, it's going to be 25 that you can bear and 5. Eventually you got 30. Then what you can do is take a lower object. Let's say this right here. Get creative, find things. Now, you've gotten a little bit more flexible. So next up, you can do maybe 10 seconds, let's say, to this, and the remaining 20 seconds you would have to go to your old object. Eventually, 15 seconds, 15, 20, 10. And eventually you've worked your way up to completely 30 seconds to this, and you can go finally touching the floor. Now, we've reached the holy grail of floor. Where do you continue from this? You can go floor, build it up to 30, then eventually half knuckles. You can go to step to the full knuckles. Works for many people. Doesn't work for a lot of people though, because it's quite the big step. So we can do half knuckles as well. 30 seconds of this, then full knuckles. Build up to 30 seconds again. Quick thing in between. Walking through all these progressions works well, and for a lot of people is trouble-free. However, if you really struggle with this, there are a couple things that can help you, which is additional warm-ups. You are going to be doing your three working sets. That's the usual volume that I use. Adding in some warm-up sets before that can help though to make your 3 working sets as efficient as you can. What can you do for warm-up? You can implement 1 or 2 extra sets of either. First is the elephant walk. Getting into a position that is challenging for you, but that you can stay in, and stretching right leg, left leg, right leg, left leg. Kind of threading through the motion. Very helpful. Second thing that you can do, Jefferson curls. Take a heavy object, not too heavy, like 5 kilograms or so, and now from the very first joint on, so tuck in the chin first, tuck your upper back, tuck the lower back, roll down, straight knees, feet together, all the way to lowest position and back up. And you do this for reps, 15-20 reps. It's a dynamic, it's a little bit lighter on your flexibility, and you're kind of strengthening the range of motion. Also very helpful. Last thing you can do, also very helpful for warm-up, is your maximum holding flexibility, maybe fingers to floor, but your maximum dynamic flexibility is a little lower. Dynamic meaning like that, right? You're moving into position. And usually you can go a little deeper on this. You can do 15, 20, even up to 30 pumps before you do your 3 working sets. Good, now let's continue with the progressions. After knuckles to floor, where can we go? Most people can't do the step of knuckles and then palms. They need a step in between, and we can use either half palms for that, where you touch the palms but the heel are still lifted, and build up 30 seconds. Or we can stay at knuckles but elevate the feet. Like this. Feet on a platform, knuckles to floor but lower. Both work well. And after some time, after having built up seconds, you will be able to touch the palms to floor. Like that. If you want to continue to make this even more difficult, we can go steps further. We can go, and I'll put my mic somewhere else so that I don't make it too loud. You can go to face to legs. So you're already very close here. You can go with the hands even closer. You can grab the back of your legs. You can pull your face to your leg like this and start counting seconds like that. Also, a really nice flexibility drill because it teaches you that compression. For the more advanced VSIT exercises, super helpful because that compression, pulling your upper body as close to your legs as you possibly can, is a really important part of it. After 30 seconds of face to legs, you can see there's a small gap when I do it, right? Here, still a gap. You can go and aim with your face not in between the knees, but face in between the shins, like this. And what happens now is, if you look back at the clip, I don't want to do it 100 times, I'll do it again. If you look at my chest, it's completely flat against my legs, right? Completely touching. That's why we call this one chest to legs. And that's passive flexibility wise, the maximum that I can do, and the maximum that most people need. You could go further to trying to get the head here towards the legs. I can't do that either, and you don't really need to. One thing that you can do though, starting to get out of breath again, I love these one takers. One thing that you can do though is an active version. It's been a while since I tried this, but you get into the position. Come on, get into the position. Let go. And you try to keep yourself actively there. Very difficult. But with more warm-up, like really go hard on all of the warm-up exercises that I gave you. With more warm-up, it gets easier. And then eventually that's a progression that you can work with as well. You try to keep yourself there using the core strength. Very helpful for anything visa related. I'll give you another bonus. So I said this before at the start. The hamstring flexibility is, no, not the hamstring flexibility, the forward fold itself. So forward fold just meaning your ability to go down and fold forward is limited not only by hamstring flexibility, it's a full body movement. It can be limited by many things. Maybe you cannot round the lower back as much, you're restricted there. Maybe also your feet being flat on the floor stretches your ankles slightly, and the knee being straight stretches them again even more. There are muscles in your calves that only do foot flexion, right? Ankle flexion. But there's also a muscle in your calf that makes the knee bend, right? And inside of the forward fold, that muscle gets stretched as well. So if you feel a large stretch more in the lower portion of your knee, maybe a sign that that muscle is very tight. To find out and do something that helps, you can do this stretch where you go onto the wall, you lean back, get your heel to the floor, and then lean forward to stretch it. You try again, see if it's easier. Another thing that may be impacting it is your nerve gliding ability. Because when you're in this position, bending the whole spine, bending at the hips and all of that, your nerves, especially the nerve from your leg, is being lengthened. And unlike a muscle, a nerve is not stretchy. But a nerve goes through different tissue. And technically, if none of that tissue gives you any restriction anywhere, you should be able to do that bending forward without the nerve being pulled on and irritated. But what can be the case is there are different areas at the knee or further up at the back where the nerve could be kept in place so that it can't move through the tissue and glide as well. And one way that can show up is by like a tingling sensation in the leg or like an electrical impulse. Very careful with this. This can also be a sign for, what's the English word? For a disc herniation. So if that's pressing on your nerve, that is a big problem and you need to go to a doctor for that. So very careful with that. But what it can also be, if it's not that, is that there's just tissue somewhere that's restricting that nerve. And there are a couple of things that you can do to actually improve the ability of your nerve to glide through that tissue. By pulling the toes up, the nerve is being pulled on even more. So by just changing your forward folds like this, if it's already a problem with your feet flat, it will be a big problem with your feet up like this. That's a test to find out whether that is restricting you or not. For me, for example, my hamstrings are quite flexible already, and the main limits further are because of that. It's, in my case, probably my tight calves. There's a restriction where it can glide as much somewhere here, at least that's my guess. And one way you can improve that is by just training this version. If you don't have a big case of restricted nerve gliding ability and it's not very painful, just lightly noticeable, then you can go into the version with your toes elevated, dynamic stretching, static stretching, and build it up like this. If it's a little more severe and you went to a doctor to make sure that it is not a herniated disc, then a light version where going down to something that's quite easy for you to do and then switching this. Chin tuck, head extend. Chin tuck, head extend. What this basically does is it gently moves the nerve back and forth. If you have a very severe case, careful with this exercise. First do it with your toes not elevated and just this movement. But this way you can move it back and forth and improve that nerve gliding ability. In this small little video, I can't highlight every single case and every single therapy measure for that. This is not what this video is for. It's just for hamstring flexibility that is needed and helpful in calisthenics and how to get there. But if you want an additional video on that, I can think about making it. But yeah, this should be everything for the forward fold in calisthenics. Hope it helps. It is mainly for V-sits, but it's also for handstand presses, because the further, let me get some parallels, the further you can get your feet either straddled or full to your hands like this, and then get onto your feet, the easier it will be to do anything like this, right? Handstand presses. And with that, cheers out. Have a good one.